Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of 10 for the Chairman. For those of you that don't know, this is where I take 10 questions from our subscribers and answer them to the best of my ability. Our subscribers are the portion of our community that kick extra money in every month to allow us to do enhanced sort of community content. So we do this show, Wingman's Hangar, we do Jump Point every month, which is usually somewhere between 50 and 70 pages of sort of detail behind the scenes how we're doing stuff. And the subscribers sort of enable us to do a higher level of community sort of reporting, showing you how the game is made, sort of pay for the crew to shoot the videos and do all that sort of stuff. So thank you very much for subscribers, because it allows us to do a higher level of communication engagement, which is fantastic. And but in general, speaking of all, you guys are great. So here there's some more gifts that I've received. So this one is from Attila Karoom, call sign Suprentis, I think. It's his favorite documentary series, and let's see what we got here, which I'm pretty sure it's something to do with planes and stuff. Yes, Dogfights, the complete series. That is brilliant, especially considering we're getting ready to release a dogfight module. So awesome, I'm definitely going to check this out, because I don't think I've actually seen this one. So brilliant, thank you very much. And then on top of that, we also have from, this is from Hong Kong. This is from Aaron McGill, who's in Hong Kong, and he's giving us a whole bunch of really cool stuff from China and Hong Kong. So Chinese teas, tea cakes, cookies, biscuits. There's a variety of Japanese snacks for everyone in the office to enjoy. Some old trinkets and decorations. So let's have a look here. That's pretty crazy. Wow. That. Crazy Japanese biscuits. Some more. Wow. Oh, maybe that's Korean. These are Korean, actually, I think. Wow, look at all this stuff. So, look at that. Some nice Chinese tea. Some more Chinese tea. Something for me. A fun gift for me to not use when I fly, so I suspect it's probably alcoholic. Or not, I don't know. Oh, these are cool little scrolls. That's pretty awesome. Yep. Hong Kong thingy. So lots of stuff here. There we go, it's pretty awesome. Anyway, so I'll hand this out to the team, and thank you very much, Aaron. That was really cool to send us a little slice of the Orient. Oh. We're going to have like a... Okay, all right. I love Dango. All right. Okay, here we go. Let's put this down over here and get to 10 for the Chairman. Okay, so well, thanks for those awesome gifts, and let's get to the questions. So, old one, I was going to say old Dong, but that's wrong. Old one asks, will there be collision in dogfight? If yes, will the colliding ships sustain damage? Yes, is the simple answer on that. There definitely is a collision in the dogfight, and you do sustain damage. And in fact, I'm not sure if, well, if we've shown on some of the videos, but yeah, one of the actual ways that people tend to die is they collide, because the speed of the ships is pretty deceptive. I know I saw a few comments thinking that the ships weren't actually flying that fast, but they actually are flying pretty fast. And so when you're doing a head-to-head pass, a lot of times you have to watch it, because like all of a sudden far away, and then boop, it's right there. You're like, oh no, and pull up, and if the two people pull up in the same direction, boom. So we're going to tweak the damage, but there's definitely damage that gets sustained in collisions in the dogfight and in general in space. All right, next question comes from Napoleon the 24th. Wow, there's a long line of Napoleons there. When we buy another ship in game, do we trade our old one if we want to? Also, on the old ships that might be traded in by other players, will we be able to buy used ships, or are they taken down to their elements and sold as scrap metal? Yeah, I think when you buy another ship in the game, you will have the option to trade it in or keep your current ship, so it'd sort of be up to you. I would say that in general, depends on the kind of ships, but it's always good probably to have more, if you can sort of store it and have more than one ship, because the ships are very sort of role specific. So, you know, if you want to be trading, that's a very different ship that you probably will need to be flying than if you want to be sort of a mercenary and just doing dogfighting, because they, you know, there isn't really a ship that's like the jack of all trades that does everything. Yes, there are some ships that you can take cargo and they can dogfight on, but if you want to really haul cargo, then you would probably want to be flying things like the Freelancer or the Starfarer, and obviously they aren't necessarily the best dogfighting ships out there. But if you want to trade it in, say you were upgrading to a bigger cargo ship or a better dogfighter, then yeah, the game will allow you to trade it in, just like you would normally now if you were getting a car. And we are going to have second-hand ships that would probably be in the universe. So there are some, like in our persistent universe, in some of the planets, we already have sort of the you know, equivalent of a used car dealership in some places, and that would be a place to get ships that would be second-hand, used, worn down a bit, maybe, you know, not quite as pristine or as efficient as what you would buy on a new showroom floor. Again, just like the real world. And I would assume that some that get traded in get also put down to scrap metal, because there's only going to be so much inventory we would want to keep out in the persistent universe. Okay, next question comes from Lama Vras, who asks, how would max velocity at cruising not be energy efficient? If we are in space, we are moving without friction and only the relative gravity fields of different celestial bodies acting upon our ships. We shouldn't be continually applying thrust because we won't be suffering from the effects of drag to slow us down. Are there then factors that we don't know of that will slow us down or cause our thrusters to constantly be firing? So no, the simple answer is no, actually. We don't have any sort of you know, elements that would retard your speed. So, you know, once you're at a certain speed and you're moving at it, as long as you don't want to change your direction, you're not really firing your thrusters or energy and stuff. And really the flight control system limits your speed at sort of the low velocity stuff, which is where you would be dogfighting, purely because of G-force and you know, pilot sort of safety issues. You know, that's when you step up to sort of autopilot or warp, where you're going to move quickly in system, then it accelerates much faster, but then obviously it's going to go in a straight line, and that's also why it pulls you out of autopilot or warp before you get close to another ship or other celestial body, because at those kind of speeds, like even 0.2 of the speed of light, you just can't deviate your course quick enough to avoid the collision without doing significant damage or killing the occupants, because you would have to you know, it would be a lot of forces to just even deviate a small amount of that sort of speed. So we are energy efficient. So like if you were at you know, whatever the top sort of low velocity that the IFCS sets, and you're just going straight, it's not firing any thrusters. You're just basically cruising, and so the thrusters are really only being used and the fuel's only being consumed when you are essentially changing your velocity vector or your orientation. Okay, so next question comes from Tsuto, T-S-U-T-O, who asks, will we be able to name our ships? If so, will this name be visible to others, decals, targeting information, etc.? So the answer is yes, you will be able to name your ships, and we plan to have the ship's name on a decal, so you should see it on the hull, and also it should show up in the targeting information. Now, in Dogfight V1, that won't be a feature, but that is definitely a feature for the persistent universe. Okay, next question comes from The Tick, who asks, since you plan to add a comprehensive first-person shooter element in the game, will there be missions in Star Citizen that will incorporate both ground and space objectives? Yes, that is a 100% yes. That will be the case in Squadron 42 as well as in the persistent universe. So we're definitely going to have some fun stuff that I think would, it's just going to add to the level of feeling like you're in a whole complete world. So it's not just about flying around. So for instance, you know, like if you went out and you found like a derelict ancient ship floating in an asteroid field somewhere, and you go and explore it, you know, you would explore it in first person, like you would dock, you would get on, you'd explore it, and you know, hey, you know, we may even have some alien creatures that could attack you, and we'll have other situations where perhaps you would get attacked. Like you're down on a more sketchy planet, and some people try to mug you in the cargo bay when you're unloading your cargo, so you have to whip out your laser pistol and defend yourself. So there'll definitely be elements that will have sort of nice sort of PvE elements that will play into the first-person shooter side, which will be separate than what we'll be doing for the sort of PvP first-person shooter stuff, which is more like fighting with other people or boarding their ships. So I think it's really going to sort of add to the color. I mean, one of the really nice things, if you saw the dogfighting videos, just the fact that you can eject out of your Hornet and you're there in zero-G and looking around at space like this it's really cool. It just sort of makes it feel much more tangible instead of it sort of the abstract. I'm always in my ship, a cockpit. You sort of feel like you're a person, and you can get into ships, you can get out of ships, you can travel around. So we're really going to sort of like push that, because that's kind of one of the really big goals of the game. Next question comes from Zen Grin, who asks, will our characters have damage states? I don't mean missing limbs, etc., although that would be interesting, having limbs replaced cybernetically. I mean, since there are usable toilet showers in the game whose use would be optional, would using them maintain a cleaner appearance, while lack of use would have you end up looking like a backwater unwashed space pirate. So not really damage states, you're talking about, I guess, cleanliness states. There definitely, by the way, will be damage. We have limb damage already part of the system. It's already partly modeled in our first-person shooter stuff, so when we show that and reveal it later this year, you'll see a lot of that. And we're also going to have some level of aging for the characters, so as you get older, we'll want them to sort of feel like they get older, the same way that we want ships to have sort of wear and tear. So we'll have that. I don't know about the cleaning, the grubby thing, but I kind of like it as an idea, so it's kind of cool. It's all would probably be based in the same system, because we sort of have a blend system that you set up the pristine thing, and then you have the like really sort of dirty, worn thing, and then you sort of just blend between them on a scale of 0 to 1. So it actually would probably be not that different or difficult to do. It would be kind of along the same lines as the ship. So I will take that under advisement, because we're already setting it up for the aging and some of the other stuff. So you never know. You could be an unwashed pirate, or you could go scrub yourself up in a shower. All right, next question comes from Irregarding Blix. Will we be able to modify our missile torpedoes? Can we have the ability to make our missiles faster at the expense of explosive payload, or slower but carry more explosives? So we weren't really thinking that the players would be adjusting parameters of their actual individual missiles. I think that would be more down to the missiles that you would buy. So you can get one that is a faster missile but has less of a payload, or you can have one that's slower that has a bigger payload. And so really that's just based on the ordnance you're going to buy. Okay, so next question comes from Rick, who asks, after playing some frustrating Battlefield 4 today and living through the regular netcode problems that plague it, I wonder what plans are afoot to make Star Citizen as hack-free as possible. Well, we're trying hard. We obviously want to make it a good experience for everyone. I can't promise you that we'll be any more successful than some other people have been, but we definitely have kind of a nice system that essentially you have to have server authoritative to make sure that you're always sort of watching everybody so they're not cheating. So we're a server authoritative model, which helps, but we have limited client trust. So basically what happens is we let the client simulate, and the server also simulates. And as long as the client's close to where the server is, it's okay. And if it starts to deviate too much, we lose trust in the client, and then the server starts to basically say, no, you're here in this position. The nice thing about that means that the actual simulation locally, as long as you're not cheating, is generally like really smooth. It feels like playing a single player game, because we don't wait for the server to tell us where we are. We sort of basically simulate locally, and as long as you're close enough by the time the server's looked at what your state is, then it's okay. On a hack basis, since the server is really authoritative and it's always checking stuff, and we've got some other checks going on, it hopefully will help prevent some of the cheating that you can see when people have their aim bots and all the rest of stuff. But it's early days yet, and actually one of the interesting things about having the community and testing this stuff so early is that I'm assuming that we'll be able to sort of like see a lot of this stuff and address it and work on it before we have, we're finally, the full game is done and it's a full general public release. And so hopefully we'll be in better state, but it's early days yet, so who knows, and that's a battle that I think will be waged for a long time. The next question comes from Totti, who asks, "Hey Chris, in my pledge I have a 3-inch model of a spaceship. My questions are, will we be able to choose which ship the model will be of, and will we be able to buy more models without a pledge?" So I don't think you choose, because I think the model of the spaceship came with all the packages that had the Constellation as a base ship. So I believe the model is actually of the Constellation. I know I've been seeing some early sort of prototypes of the models, and they look very cool. So I think pretty much your model spaceship will be just a Constellation. We are talking about the potential of maybe making some physical model versions of other spaceships, and we're sort of researching that as a possibility. Although that requires a lot of work, and it isn't actually necessarily very cost effective. So if we did something like that, they probably would be. They would cost some money, and they would require a lot of work and from our side, and not necessarily really have any profit in it, which for us the profit's all extra money we get to put towards the game. So we like to have some things that if we even sell physical goods, there's a bit of a profit in it, so we can basically make a bigger, better game. So we try to avoid to do physical items that are basically break even, because that requires a lot of manpower and a lot of thought and a lot of juggling, and also customer service headaches, because did you get your package? Did it get through customs? All the rest of stuff. And so we have staff that do just deal with that, and obviously that's stuff that is we could be spending money working on the game instead. So so I don't know, but we're all geeks and we all like the idea of cool spaceships. So we're kind of partial to potentially maybe trying to make some. So we'll see what happens there, but no promises yet. Okay, last question this week. It comes from Graham, who asks, "Can you tell us a little about your vision for the command and control centers on the larger ships? What will the interface be like? 2D map on a screen, 3D hologram? How much control will the command and control have over other ships under his/her command, waypoint, target assignment, etc.?" So yeah, so the idea of the command and control, I think maybe you've seen some of the dogfight footage. We have this sort of hollow radar sphere. So a lot of time the command and control is just going to be a much bigger, more detailed version of that, where you can see all the different ships. They're holograms, the actual ships themselves flying around, and you can sort of click on them and get information on them, and you can sort of say, click here, and you attack here, or you defend this person. And essentially you'll be sort of tasking instructions and orders out to the ships. If they're NPC owned, then then obviously the NPCs will obey you. If they're player run, essentially you're getting instructions from the commander that has a full battle tactical view and telling you what to do. So hopefully if your organization plays as a team, then you'll listen to those controls and commands. And essentially the idea would be that on some of the bigger ships, you would basically have someone that would run sort of the battle ops, so to speak, and they would be sort of directing the fighter air cover, or assigning different ships to attack this other ship over here. So what I'm kind of hoping, when we get down later, this is probably sort of the dogfight V2 or V3, probably more like V3, when we have a couple of big capital ships. It'll be kind of fun to see two groups of players come in, like maybe in 2 corvettes or whatever, and go launch their fighters and go at each other, and there'll be sort of a mixed command and control. I mean, it's going to be almost like a whole other game, a lot of co-op, and I think it'll be pretty fun. And there's a lot of stuff that's going to be going on besides just command and control on the big ships. We're going to do a sort of more in-depth piece about that in the near future. Foundry 42, who's one of our studio in the UK that's taking the lead on Squadron 42, is going to sort of take lead on the big ship systems, because they need it for Squadron 42, and they're also going to do it for the persistent universe. And there's some really great stuff I've seen going back and forth. I mean, because it's not just, like I said, command and control. There's engineering, there's helm, there's life support. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things, communication, radar. And so the idea is a lot of different players, if they work together optimally, could maybe run this ship really efficiently and well, and have a big edge against someone that isn't doing the same kind of thing. So and certainly if the players are doing it, they're going to have an edge over the NPCs. So we'll make it so the NPCs are good, but they're not as good as like an efficiently run sort of player group of running a ship, which is great, because I really want to have this sort of sense of cooperative play in the game. So you fly by yourself, or you fly off your friends to achieve things. I think the cooperative side is as much fun as anything else that you can do. I mean, that's generally when I've played other games, even when you're playing against other players, the fun thing is when you're cooperatively working with other people against other players or other NPCs. So that's a big focus for us, and command and control will be kind of like that. Like if you've seen any of these, like the big hollow tables, like, I don't know, you see an Ender's Game or you saw in Prometheus, it'll be sort of that kind of interface where you're standing by it and you can click and rotate around and see stuff. So it should be very cool. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this episode of 10 for the Chairman. Thank you all for listening. I hope I've answered the questions in a way that you feel satisfied or feel enlightened. And thank you to all the backers out there for backing the game and allowing us to make a game of this scale and this ambition without any strings attached, no publisher, no VC, just make the best possible game. So the support and enthusiasm from all you guys is always, it's great. This is the only way I want to make games. So thank you so much, and I will catch you next week.